Hello there, and welcome into this audio of an article I wrote. Deep trust, deep surrender, learning to let go and accept what is. Now, I wrote this about a year ago, and life just did not line up to get this out there before this moment. But I knew it would. I felt that it might be helpful to those of you out there, the sharing of my own experience, my story, to help you through perhaps your own story. And I see now the divine timing at play. Of course, I'm going to share this article with you about surrender right as we've had our North Node moving into Pisces, a conjunction with the North Node and Neptune in Pisces, and Saturn is in a conjunction as well, about 10 degrees. Big Pisces energy. And Mercury has now joined in the bunch. And we have our Pisces New Moon coming up on February 27th. So, I'm getting this out to you today before I'm heading off to finally go camping for this year. Again, that need of surrender. Everyone getting colds, sick. It just wasn't happening. And this constant redirection. And where is the energy, the direction? What is that even? And letting go when it's like not working out. So that is also the energy of Mars retrograding Cancer, which we have been feeling since early December. And Mars is stationing direct today. So it felt very synchronistic that this is now the moment where I kind of get off my butt and put myself out there by sharing this message with you, this article. And let me add this in a well. So you're not only just getting the article, I'm giving you a little bit of this energy update. We had our first X-class solar flare for the first time in a while. It's been a minute, I think since December. I'd have to check, but I'm not going to because then I'll just delay getting this out there. But it's been a minute. And it's been an X2 flare. Again, right as Mars is stationing direct. And these X-class flares are coming through with this surgical precision, cutting through the cloaks, the masks, the bullshit surrounding our soul and who we really are in our essence. So I feel like this is going to be quite a big week. Again, this new the Pisces New Moon that's coming. A lot of energy is at play, especially with all that is happening throughout the world, and especially here with the United States since Donald Trump became president. Let me just see if there's anything else to add to that. No, I think I'll let that be. But just keep in mind this energy of surrender. This deep trust and deep faith. This is Pisces energy. This meandering through the desert. When we are our most lost is when we are truly able to be found. So we are in this void energy, and there is a need to surrender into that. And that is what I'm going to share today in this article. If you prefer to read this, if you do not like audio, that's fine. I'm going to have a link below to my website, christywhistler.com. You can go there. And if you are needing support, I am available for that as well, whether it's an astrology reading, an intuitive channeled message, card reading, or even a quantum healing session. I have all that available on my website. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So as I said, I wrote this initially a year ago, and this is actually when Sean unexpectedly lost his job. He was laid off, which, wow, even as I say that, I'm thinking of all the federal workers here in the United States where this is their current experience. Wow, yeah, the timing, the divine plan at play. So just go ahead and relax and just listen in. And again, I hope that my story just supports you in wherever you are in your journey. Sitting at our cabin's slightly chipped, gray painted wooden deck, I gaze out at the beautiful forest that greets me in my morning coffee. The ponderosa pines and cedar trees rising up towards the sun, making their stand in giant oaks and juniper, while the ground floor is littered with gray rocks, dotted with moss and tiny yellow flowers. I am not alone either. Sean is sleeping, the morning away upstairs, but the company I speak of is quite different, and of the four-legged, bushy tail variety. A bossy gray squirrel saunters across the wooden railing and gives me another long, impatient glare of his dark eyes. This is his home, you see, and he is quite demanding that guests feed him peanuts, unsalted, according to the letter in our cabin. And I have so far resisted his demands, along with angry yet cute flicking tail. Too many years of visiting nature's wild places have taught me to not feed wild animals. The squirrel, however, isn't a fan of my high and mighty beliefs. He insistently taps his tiny paws on the wooden railing in a "what the hell is taking you so long" kind of manner. And when that doesn't work, he starts squawking at me. Truly, it's an absolute joy and blessing to be here at this lovely cabin in Idlewild, California, without the children. Bossy squirrel and all. To have this time for Sean and I to just be with each other, and be with ourselves. And yet, there's also a heaviness hanging over us, an uncertainty of our future, questions circling around me. Should we even be here right now? Should we have done the responsible, safe thing and canceled our trip when life threw this recent curveball at us? 2 weeks ago, despite having made a good and fun online multiplayer video game that came out on several platforms, PC, Switch, Steam, Sean was unexpectedly laid off. He, and along with nearly 40 other people, and that was after 50 people had been laid off the month before, had their lives completely turned upside down. Despite all of their efforts, despite years of keeping the train on track, as Sean often described his job and the deadlines he faced, their hopes, their dreams, the promises exchanged with this company came to a grinding, halting stop. Not because of anything Sean did or those he worked with did, but because of choices made by the company's leadership. It was heartbreaking to watch, to witness, to hold space for, including for myself to also be a part of. Over these past 2 weeks, as I've journeyed with this new truth to our living situation, I found myself confronted by several deep truths that I had been working quite hard and unconsciously to not see. These sudden, shocking changes in our lives are not new to us. This is actually fairly common in the video game industry, where a single phone call changes everything. What you thought of as a sure deal, and suddenly you realize it was the exact opposite. That there was never any real certainty. There was only the belief of certainty. This is so much what I have been sitting with these past few weeks, going in deep with these old conditioned beliefs that I hold, especially when the waves of fear, of uncertainty wash over me. The deeper I went, the more I realized this goes far beyond just myself, but beliefs which our country, cultures, our societies hold. All these expectations, these beliefs that life will continue on in a certain way, that things are stable, secure, safe. And yet the only real certainty we have in life is that there will be change. Continual change. And one day, we each will die. Everything else is just a dressed up illusion made by our minds, by the philosophy that society and parents and culture conditioned us to believe in. Isn't this what the pandemic had tried to teach us? That a force beyond our control can come in and suddenly sweep everything. Can come in and suddenly everything can change. That this idea of control, especially over the outer world, is actually only an illusion. This might sound morbid or devoid of hope, but I hope that you, like I, might be daring enough to journey into the underworld of potentiality. Some of our deepest, darkest fears, or certainly mine. This is especially true if you, like me, had your life unexpectedly change, which is also not a surprise when I look towards the astrology, especially with Uranus in Taurus, shocking, unexpected, sudden changes. This happened with Jupiter. This happened with Uranus conjunct Jupiter, April through May in 2024. And Jupiter is an energy that expands whatever it touches. And OG, both these planets happen to be in Taurus, which has everything to do with resources, energy exchange, money. For us, it was a sudden and unexpected disruption to our finances. And Uranus will be in Taurus, finishing up next year in 2026. So, unexpected disruptions to money, to resources and finances, as well as land, is part of the course for this energy right now. Uranus is also an energy of divine discontent. It shines a light of truth that cuts through the darkness. It disrupts and helps to initiate change, to bring you to the right path, the true path for you. There's been a heck of a lot more with the astrology, but I'll leave this bit for those who like a validation from the cycles of life itself and how they may potentially resonate with your own experiences during this time. And yet, there is grief during these periods of sudden change, which shouldn't be bypassed or ignored, but witnessed. Grief for the loss of those beliefs and certainties, of what you thought was a solid foundation, only to find out it wasn't solid at all. Even when you thought it was, it actually wasn't. These mental realizations are disorientating, challenging, when everything around you and within you is suddenly shifting, changing. The very ground you were standing on, which you thought was strong, solid, secure, is the exact opposite. This has been a slice of my inner journey and this necessary shedding of these layers of truth I'd believed in, only to see they weren't true at all. And as these truths surface and show themselves to me without illusion or delusion, to give myself the time and space to see these fears, to witness them, to give them whatever space they need without trying to shove them under a rug or pretend they aren't there. How will we pay our bills, our rent, our food? Unemployment is woefully inadequate for the cost of living, especially in Los Angeles. And that's money we receive for the unemployment that Sean put into it. And yet I kept being guided. Go deeper. I'd go a bit more, get stuck on my fears of safety, security, of having a home, shelter, food, and then the messages from Spirit got clearer. No, you are not deep enough. Go deep. See the true fears hiding behind the money, home, security for your children. Eventually, on the rim of Bryce Canyon National Park, surrounded by the orange and copper red formations of the rock, carved and expanded by ice and wind and rain, I did. I found that light of truth, but instead of cutting through the shadows as it had in the past, now it simply turned the light on. I saw so clearly the truth behind my fears, the real thing my soul was really terrified of. Uncertainty. I had unknowingly, unconsciously been holding so tight to these beliefs around control because the thing I was truly afraid of was what would happen if I let go. If I released my grip and instead surrendered to God, to Source, to the divine. If I simply did the most radical, terrifying thing and choose to trust, to have absolute faith that everything was working out exactly as it needed to, that no matter what happened, we would be okay. And that's when it hit me, this light of truth. I already knew how to do this. Sean and I had both already done this a decade ago when we found out that Kate was delayed in her speech and her understanding of language. And a few years later, we learned this was also true for Eric. I was floored by this realization, this memory, this innate orientation to faith and trust that I already had and yet had forgotten. Not truly forgotten, of course, but the seed of it, the deep courage that was required of me, of both of us. Sean and I had no idea if our children would ever talk. We had no idea. And there was nothing we could do to make them talk. Yes, we supported them. Yes, we listened to them. We followed the direction and the guidance they gave us. But control? Certainty? We had none of it. Zero certainty. Zero control. We, and especially for myself, had to come into this space of absolute trust to truly let go, to surrender, to accept what is rather than I wish things could be, should be, or want them to be. To move into a state of absolute deep trust and true surrender. And I do not mean surrender as giving up, which is often taught in the Western world where the word is synonymous with defeat and with losing the war. What I mean by surrender is acceptance. This is a situation in front of me right now, this very moment. I am not going to resist what is. For us, with our children, we had to come to a place of trust that no matter what happened, if our children would talk or if they wouldn't, that we would be okay. And here in this moment at the cabin, with the caws of crows and the chattering of birds amongst the trees of Idlewild, with the bossy squirrel who came by yet again, tapping away with his paws. Obviously, I've been writing too long and needed a peanut reminder. I'm being asked to surrender once again, to trust. And yet, this time, there's a deeper awareness. What I'm being asked to trust in isn't if Sean will get a job to pay our bills, or if the job he accepts will bring him joy and excitement, of which I am praying for. The real trust is for me to release this deep fear I have towards uncertainty, to trust in the divine will, to trust in the ebb and flow of life, to allow myself to sink in and have faith in this trust fall that Spirit has asked of us, to know that no matter what I may feel from moment to moment, I am human and I do cry and fear and grieve, that I will not fall or plummet, but soar. This has been my inner work, that Sean, in losing his job and the loss of our family's income, is being mirrored and reflected for me to do. For me to look within, to see in myself where and why my soul has asked for this experience. How can I meet this moment? How can I learn and grow? These questions have been my companions, and I reflect on them each day, or as often as a busy mom with 2 kids can. I can feel to my very being that I am doing my part in helping us to move through this moment with as much ease and grace as possible. And whenever I need the reminder, whenever I fear that chokehold of fear, the one that cuts right to my soul from lifetimes of past experiences and memories, all I need to do is look to my children, to their joy, to their blossoming voices and their authentic selves, to remember, I have done this before. I have trusted, given myself fully to Spirit, to God, to the divine, and I can do so again. And so can you. No matter what unfolds in our world over these coming months and years, and yes, it will be challenging and rocky as we birth something entirely new and different. Remember, you came for this moment because your soul knew you could. You have the courage, the resilience, the strength to release your fears, whatever they are for you, around uncertainty, safety, security, to let them all go and allow yourself to surrender into the space of deep trust and faith, and to the greater divine plan that is unfolding for us all, and the necessary soul healing that may be required along the way. It's not a journey for the faint of heart, but I know it's one we can do. So this is an update from February 2025. Yes, my family, Sean and I, did maneuver this journey together, and the unexpected change brought by his job loss, the turbulence and transformation that came from it. In the end, it was 3 months of unemployment, and the changes this experience brought to our family are deep. I am still learning what it even is. The experience went that far. There was a reconnection within our family unit, a suturing of wounds and disconnections, some which I didn't even know were there, some of which were lineage wounds, ancestral, cultural, that we each held within ourselves, especially around the separation that occurs in our current world when man goes to work and woman stays home with the children. And over this time, I witnessed that old dynamic, that old, outdated pattern morph and change. As I said, I'm still learning how deep it goes and how much healing actually did occur within our family through that forced slowing down and coming back together. And then not defaulting back to our old patterns when Sean did get his new job, which was many, many blessings. And as I said, still discovering even now, months later, what that is. But some are quite obvious. His stress levels have drastically gone down. That constant stress he needed to hold for 2.5 years for the game Palia to be released was enormous, and it affected everyone in our family. Now, he has more patience with the children and myself, more grace. We were also incredibly blessed during the transition time between jobs. We were able to apply and receive food assistance, which meant our money from our savings could go towards rent, stretching out what we had in our bank account while we waited this period out. We were able to receive Medicare, which is the United States health insurance for those who qualify. Not that we needed it or even used it, but it was there in case anything major happened. It also meant we didn't have an interruption in our health coverage and aren't penalized during tax time. We could not afford the insane cost to pay for health insurance coverage out of pocket, and for a family of 4. That would have cut through our savings so quickly. So receiving Medicare was a blessing, and I am grateful it was there when we needed it. As I'm writing this update on February 23rd, 2025, I am well aware of how deeply fortunate we were that Sean lost his job last year and not today. Today, I doubt we would be receiving the food assistance. Today, I doubt we would be receiving the health insurance assistance. And I am well aware that today there are so many, many who rely on this and will not be receiving it due to the choices of the Trump administration. I am holding this space for those who are suffering, who are going without food and medication. I am holding this understanding in a small way compared to so many of you. But for a brief moment in time, I was there too. I see you, and I see the pain, the fear, the uncertainty that you are living through. Please know I am with you, and I will use my voice to support you, to rally behind you when many others would stay silent. Great change is coming. And it's truly beginning this year, 2025. So much will change. So much has already changed. I'm sharing this article, this message, because I feel it's more relevant than ever for this need to surrender into the divine, into the greater plan at play, and to find our place in that plan. To be activists, to be artists, to take a stance, yet also from a place of compassion, curiosity, love, and to hold faith no matter what is before us. Thank you all so much for listening. If you found this helpful, please like the video and share it with your friends. It helps me so much. And again, if you are needing that support, I am here for you. Thank you all so much for listening, and keep at it. Whatever it is that you are doing in the world right now, keep going and hold to this deep faith that is being asked of us, that we are being invited into at this time. Thank you. And I love you. I'll see you soon. After my camping trip to Valley of Fire, which I will have, I'm sure, energy update and intuitive reading for you. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.